I think it's hard for a lot of people to talk about, especially at college.
Sometimes we don't even realize how hard it can be.
It's pretty prevalent on college campuses to feel insecure.
I struggled really severely with body image.
I think I know more, especially women, than not, who feel like they dislike their body or they want to change their body in some way.
Okay, so I'm Mary Ryan.
My name is Shannon.
I'm Grace.
I'm Katie.
And I'm on a journey
And I'm on a journey
And I'm on a journey to self-love.
Self-love.
to self-love.
Probably second semester sophomore year. I probably struggled the most. I thought I was really overweight when in fact I was probably severely underweight. And it was a gym obsession, a real crazy compulsive diet mindset. And I went on spring break with my friends to Miami, right? Everyone wants to look good on spring break. And I remember the whole time, it was fun, but I could not stop thinking about how I looked. So it was a period of 4 days where I was just I can't enjoy myself because I literally think I just look awful. And looking back, I had to have weighed 40 pounds less than I do now. So it's kind of hard to look at and think wow, could I really have been that down on myself at such a horrible time? But that was probably the most notable bad days, I guess. And it's really cool to say I'm going to the gym or come with me to yoga or do stuff like that. But it's never it's, at least for me, it's really hard for me to say I feel so down, I don't want to eat today. My issue with self-love, at least mentally, came when I was younger. So probably end of middle school, high school, right? Everyone goes through puberty. I definitely came late to the game, which is fine. But weight was always something I was hyper focused on. And I'm probably just as comfortable. I haven't ever felt really comfortable. I think when I'm definitely skinnier, and I think I have been at times definitely too skinny, I feel better, which is not a good thing. A lot of my friends, I would think, consider me decently independent, and then I had a pretty serious boyfriend at the end of high school, coming into college, etc. I don't think I thought that my perception of self-love was attached to that, but it definitely was, because after we broke up, I think that's when I was the most hyper-focused on okay, now I'm in college, I'm meeting new people, and I definitely need to look really good, and I equated really good to underweight. I think self-love comes from a lot of the love you experience from people around you, right? So I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of my high school friends become good friends with my college friends, and I think when everyone's together, my family, my home friends, my school friends, I am less focused on my issues I have with myself, and I'm super grateful for all the things that I do have as opposed to the things that I can't attain. Body positivity was something that I thought was really great that other people had, but I never thought that would be me. That's hard.
I guess it depends on the day, how I feel towards my body. Today I'm pretty neutral. I think I've always been very aware of my body and very much wanted to change it in some way. I think I always felt like bigger than kids growing up, and that was a bad thing. So I wanted to change that. And then I got to school, and I was living with a bunch of girls, and there was even more people to like compare my body to like constantly, which was very hard. Just being constantly comparing to like my roommate who I was with 24/7, or the girls who lived across the hall from me. So I think about a year ago, I realized that I needed to stop doing that because it wasn't helping me in any way, shape, or form. So easy to see what we like about other people's bodies and be like, oh, I wish I had her, I don't know, waistline, or I wish I had her hip size or whatever. Whereas it's hard to see what we like about ourselves. So just being constantly, again, inundated with other women's bodies, I definitely got into a lot of comparison for the first 3 years of college. I was missing out on things that I didn't have to be missing out of. I was like sitting in my apartment on like a Saturday night, and I was like, wait, I can be having fun too. Like, why am I not allowed to have fun as well? Why do I have to not? So I think I realized the only thing holding myself back was me, and it wasn't other people. It was a narrative that some part of my brain was telling me that nobody would like me. So I think I've been very nervous about people accepting me, because in like not liking myself and constantly picking out my insecurities, either in my personality or in my body, I think others are going to pick out those insecurities and those things I don't like about my body or my personality. And there's so much more to offer than just like this outer shell that we have that changes over the years. And it's important because I think it's not just about my relationship with myself, it's also my relationship with others. So I'm not devaluing them into just looking at their bodies. So when I come to accept my own body and my own self, I think I'm better able to accept others. So I've been starting to try and move towards self-acceptance and self-love, even though it's very difficult and very slow.
And it took really hitting that bottom to come out of it. And that started right around the summer of 2016. And I have little bouts every once in a while of doubt, but in general, my life is 100% different without this like crippling body dysmorphia. In college, at least the first 2 years, I really see my college experience as like before I felt better and after I felt better. And those first 2 years, it was way worse, partially because my skin was worse than it had ever been, but I think that wasn't all of it. It was a lot of the mental component. And it felt like I had this chance for everyone to see me a certain way. And so I would never go out without makeup because I had to keep up this image of myself that I presented on day one. And if I went without it, everyone would know what I really looked like. And so that was a lot of pressure for me. I would wake up and have a moment of peace before I walked in to see myself in the mirror in the morning. And then when I did, I wasn't wearing any makeup, obviously, so it was really rough. I never felt comfortable without makeup on. And so I would wake up, see myself less than probably 2 minutes. I would avoid it as long as possible, but then eventually it's there for you to brush your teeth and everything. Take an hour of doing my hair, doing my makeup, finding an outfit, which was typically probably 6 different attempts before I felt okay. And if I didn't find one where I felt okay, or I didn't feel like my makeup covered enough, or my hair was weird, then I would skip class, I would sit and cry. I would be absolutely toxic to anyone that tried to make me feel better, because if they were telling me that I looked okay, it's as if I can't trust them anymore, because I knew for a fact that that wasn't true. So it was pretty crippling. There were days I literally wouldn't go outside. I also feel and remember and still apologize to the people in my life who were telling me every day that I was great and that I was beautiful. And I would just yell at them because they were lying to me, and I don't understand why they were lying to me. Freshman year, I had a beautiful, very thin roommate, and I had to like see her all the time, and I love her, like she's very sweet, but it was very hard for me to like, she would borrow my stuff, and I knew I could never fit in anything that she wore. I think especially with like the hookup culture that is surrounding college, it's as if, at least in my experience, if you don't get approached the way that all of these women are getting approached and the way that college women get approached in movies and TV, that you're not worthy of attention. Even if you're not interested in doing something like that, it's like, why is no one asking me? And I very much have had that experience. And I really think that that's pretty detrimental, that whole culture, because it's suddenly a way of evaluation. It's funny, when I was really sad before, I would do everything that I did with the thought of future Shannon in mind, like the person who really loved herself. So at one point, I was like considering hurting myself, and I was like, future Shannon, who feels great about herself, does not want those scars to be looking at when she's just trying to live her life. So I would love to think that I'm future Shannon now, but I also think that it's a journey, and I'm really only at the beginning of it. It hasn't been that long. The scale, even now, it used to be a point where if I got a number that upset me, it would not eat. I would just feel completely unworthy of any affection or attention or anything and not go outside. But now that number is like upsetting sometimes, but not necessarily scary. Plus, I have to remind myself that there are all these different factors going on at all times. So if I can get to a point where that doesn't bother me at all, that'd be great. But for now, it's okay. That's my main point with all of this, and what I say to my friends who are really struggling with this and ask me how I came out of it, is that it's a twofold problem where there's this need to be beautiful, and then there's you not having an accurate perception of yourself. So it's definitely not just convincing yourself that you're pretty, it's convincing yourself that you have other things going for you and you don't need to be stunningly beautiful.
I think generally today, I feel about my body the way I generally do, that I'm, especially getting older, I feel pretty comfortable in my own skin. Fortunately for me, that generally has been the case. Certain times more than others, it becomes harder, or there have been times where I felt more pressure than others. Like always during the summer, I feel like pressure. I think more pressure to look a certain way. But there are always moments where I wish something were different. This morning I wish I didn't have to straighten my hair as much, and I think about that because I always feel like my hair looks frizzy, and I feel this pressure to make it look different sometimes. But I think generally that I feel today the same way I usually do, which is fairly comfortable in my own skin. Self-love, I think, is so important, just because if you don't take the time to give yourself the care that you need, and you don't love yourself in that way, you can't really be your best self for others. Also, coming to college, been fortunate to find a really solid group of friends and been involved in different communities that have helped me to realize how important self-love is. As you become an adult, you feel a lot more pressure. Am I doing the right thing? Am I taking the right opportunities? So that can be an obstacle for self-love. So like in the beginning of college, helping people to find the club that's right for them, or later on, helping students find the right internships. Because I think when you realize those opportunities is when, in some ways, it becomes easier for you to love yourself, because you feel like you're making the most of the gifts that you have. So my hope would be that they realize that really the sky is the limit, that they can achieve whatever they want if they put their mind to it. But also that I think that they stop just comparing themselves to people. You don't spend so much time comparing yourself to other people that in turn prevents you from being the best version of yourself. That you do focus on the things that you've accomplished and realize that there's so much more out there for you, that you have all these opportunities, and that to kind of be excited about making use of them.
I think for me, a day of full self-love would just be a day where I didn't even think about it. Like, it wasn't conscious. Like, where I was like, okay, I have to love this, or I have to do this, I have to move towards this. Where it was just kind of like a day where I lived.
My ideal self-love experience would be being surrounded by everyone that I love and is important to me. And I don't know, not having this compulsive nature to think consistently about my weight. That would definitely be it.
If you're listening to the right song, I think it can help to recognize what you're feeling. I think music is a way of capturing the emotions we're feeling in a way that we can't quite ourselves.
So now I have quotes about confidence written all over my mirror. I can still see myself, but I have to see that first.
People fill their Instagram feed with these Instagram models who are traveling the world and who weigh 100 pounds and do this. And I've had a lot of friends who have said I've deleted my Instagram because I can't look at this every day. It sounds silly, but populating your social media with accounts Upworthy or Love Things That Matter or inspirational quotes, and it sounds corny, but I rather see that than someone sucking in and turning to the side.
And I'm not a model either, but I'm gonna be okay with that, and it's not the end of the world if you're just a person and you're not this stunner that everyone has to be convinced that they are.
There are people in your life who care about you and want you to succeed and be happy and don't want you to feel that way. So
we take up so much brain space, worrying about what we look like, and worrying about what we're eating, and worrying about if people like us and if people don't like us. And that's so much bandwidth that we could be putting towards our studies and our friends and our relationships and bettering ourselves and bettering the world for other women.
And it's something that I try to empower every person that I encounter, much even more so people who I can sense struggle with insecurity and self-hatred.